Hi, everyone. Welcome back to my podcast. I'm Melissa B. Duarte, and we are reading through my book, The Ultimate A to Z of Business English Idioms. I wrote this book because I could not find a book that was teaching idioms that are used in business English that have relevant language in it. The global business English language that we use is different from 30 years ago, from 50 years ago, and with a global focus. It's not just for British English learners or speakers. It's not just for American English, it's global. Idioms that everyone is going to understand and use worldwide. So, in this podcast, I'm walking through every single letter from my book, and I'm including every single page of my book here. I wrote this book because I wanted to create something that my students could use and learn from, and it was relevant and now and had all the great vocabulary in it. But I also believe knowledge should be shared. So I'm including every single page of my book in this podcast series. But what I'm doing differently in this podcast as opposed to my videos and opposed to the book itself is I'm including a lot more examples of every single idiom. I had some great feedback from a subscriber that said, Melissa, love your content, love your videos, but we need more examples. So I heard you and I'm doing it, and it totally makes sense. I always tell my students, your ear is one of your best teachers. The more your ear can hear again and again the same vocabulary, it's going to lock it in for your learning. It's fantastic. A lot of us learn a different language while we're working out, while we're walking, while we're driving, while we're on the train. So throw on the podcast, go ahead and listen, and hopefully I'll give you enough examples that you truly do understand what the idiom means. You'll recognize and understand it when you hear it, and you'll be confident enough to use it. Again, with all of my videos here in my podcast, I'm going to include a page of my book actually on the video. So if you're only listening to this podcast, great, save it, come back later, and then you'll have the whole entire page of the book or pages of the book per letter that you can click on, and then you can see and reinforce your learning there. Okay, enough. Let's get started. Okay, let's get started. So, if you have my book at home, great. We're going to start on page 37. That is Business English Idioms starting with D, page 37. If you don't have my book, well, I put the page up there on the screen, so go ahead and read it. Okay, so let's get started. These are Business English Idioms starting with D. Very first one is dance around the issue. Now, dance around the issue is a synonym for beat around the bush. I had beat around the bush in my B video. So to dance around an issue or dance around something is you're avoiding it at all costs. I'm going to go through and read the meaning and example for you. So dance around an issue to avoid discussing or addressing a specific problem directly. Example, instead of dancing around the issue, we need to address it now. So, dance around, I mean, just think of people dancing. They're enjoying themselves. They're not doing anything serious. They're moving and kind of moving away from other people. If you're dancing, you're able to avoid things. So, to dance around an issue is you're not dealing with it. You are avoiding discussing it, or you're not speaking directly. This is how it's a synonym for beat around the bush. So, for example, you're a team lead, you go talk to your top manager because you need updated equipment in your department. So, you walk into your top manager's office and you say, Paul, we've been working with older equipment. It's fine. However, our turnaround is not as fast. Some people are complaining. It'd be really great if one day that equipment could be replaced, because some staff are quite frustrated. And the manager can say, Paul, stop beating around the bush. Stop dancing around the issue. What do you want? Speak to me directly. Okay, we need new equipment. So if you're dancing around an issue, you're not speaking directly. You're not saying directly what you need or what you want. Same thing is if you have a client and the client's been with you for many, many years. Now this client is looking at getting a better price. So you arrange a meeting. Your client wants to meet with you and they say, listen, we're very happy with your services. We've worked together a very long time. I'm so happy with the level of service you give us and all the context, and we appreciate the chocolates and the flowers at New Year's. And okay, like they're saying all these nice things. You can tell they're beating around the bush. They're dancing around the issue. So you can say, listen, Maria, don't dance around the issue. What do you need? We've done business for many, many years. Go ahead. Speak to me directly. Tell me exactly what you need. No need to dance around the issue. And so then Maria can say, thank you. Okay, we need a better price. Our profits are not as big as they used to be. We need a better price from you. So if you notice someone's avoiding talking directly, you can say, listen, no need to dance around the issue. What do you need? What do you need? And that's great. Now, on the flip side, sometimes you do need to ask someone for something, but you cannot be too direct. Business English is different from a lot of different cultures in business. In English, you can't really ask for things too directly. There's this whole level. I mean, if you're from Germany or Russia, or if you're from Spain, from some of the Latin American countries, I think in the Middle East as well. I mean, you can talk pretty directly, and people appreciate that. Well, that's not the case in English. You have to play this kind of game. So if you do need to ask for something, and you have to kind of dance around the issue. So this could be something you tell someone to do. So you have a German logistics company, and you need to talk to their British counterpart about, maybe expanding a little bit and helping and sharing some staff in the next project. So you need to ask them for a favor. You need to dance around that issue. You can't just openly say, we need this, do it now. No, you have to say, we're so happy with the collaboration we've been doing. We are so excited to always be working with you guys. We seem to have a very cohesive team when we work together. Going forward, could we do this? So kind of you do need to dance around the issue in some situations. So then if you're in Germany and then your manager's talking to someone who's going to contact someone in England, say, give that piece of advice. Listen, dance around the issue a bit and then go in and ask them for what they want. So some cultures you do need to dance around the issue and beat around the bush. Unfortunately, that's English. That's just the way it is. Okay, on to the next one. We have dark horse. A dark horse. This is an idiom. It's a noun. I'm going to read the meaning and the example and give you more examples. Okay, a dark horse is a person or thing that is not well known, but has a potential to succeed unexpectedly. This is an exciting person that you work with, or a product that you have in your company or you know of. Example, the new contender for Senate was a dark horse, but he won by a landslide. So a dark horse is kind of, imagine stables where they keep horses, full of horses. And there's all these beautiful white horses and these beautiful brown horses and auburn horses. And there's kind of just a little dark horse in the shadows. You don't really see it. But they are the fittest horse, the fastest horse, the most well-trained horse, the most able to be trained horse. So this dark horse is, wow, I didn't even consider it as a major contender, and they're completely above and beyond, heads, leagues above the competition. This is what a dark horse is. So for example, if you have a team of people and you have a really quiet worker on the side, and that worker just keeps their head down at work, does their work, they don't really communicate very much. Well, one meeting comes up and maybe the VP of marketing is not available to present this meeting or head this meeting. So this person steps in who's always been very quiet, and they just stand in front of the board or stand in front of the meeting room, and they are incredible, and they present perfectly professionally, and they're fantastic. Well, you can call them a dark horse, kind of saying like, wow, I never knew that was in you. So if something, and again, it could be someone, that's an example of someone, or it could be something. So something's a product out in the market. Maybe just I'm not good at making examples off the top of my head. Okay, so a product out in the market, maybe a new app. And the new app is like, meh, no one's really excited about this app. It's just an app. There's 1,000 apps out there. Let's say it's a translating app, for example. Okay, so we have a translating app and it's out there. Everyone's like, meh, meh is MEH, just means whatever. I'm kind of neutral about it. Not really a big deal. But slowly it gains traction. To gain traction is to get more and more popular. It slowly starts gaining traction because maybe it is the most accurate. Maybe it is the fastest. Maybe it is the highest quality. So this like nothing app that we saw or you saw, you realize, wow, that's a dark horse. That is something I completely brushed aside, meaning I didn't think it was very important, but it is a serious contender. So, a person or thing that is not obvious to be a top contender, and that's what a dark horse is. It's a good one. If you know dark horses in your work, it's fantastic. If you are a dark horse, good for you. I mean, it's kind of special. You don't come across products or people like this very often, but it's pretty neat. Okay, next one here is daylight robbery. I love this one. I love this one. Daylight robbery. Well, robbery is stealing something, and daylight is during the day. So most robberies occur at night, so no one sees it. So there's no witnesses. Daylight robbery, this idiom means they're not hiding, that they're overcharging you for something. I'll read you the example here and the meaning. Daylight robbery, an outrageously high price for something. Example, charging that much for catering the meeting is daylight robbery. Okay, so you have to cater a meeting for your office. And let's say to cater a meeting for, I don't know, 20 people can cost $200. I don't know. I just threw that number out there. So let's say a new caterer comes in and they go, yes, of course we can cater your next meeting. It will be $500. And this is exorbitant. Exorbitant means way bigger than it has to be. A huge price. So you can say that's daylight robbery. Like that like you're like robbing me of my money. In broad daylight, you're openly saying how much money you want to charge me. So anytime someone is charging you a lot more than what they should for a service or for goods, a product, then you can call that daylight robbery. You take your car to the mechanic and you need an oil change. Well, an oil change is usually around, I don't know, depending on where you are, maybe like $30, maybe it's more, $50. So if your mechanic says, okay, it'll be $200, it's daylight robbery. Like I can go to the next garage and get that for $50. So daylight robbery is when someone is happy to be out in the open in the broad daylight asking more for something. That's what daylight robbery is. So again, if you're in work and you're looking at working with suppliers and one supplier's price is so much more than the competitors, or they want to, you're taking your clients out for a lunch and the actual price, they added an extra service fee to the price of the restaurant, which you didn't really anticipate. They're including that, or they included a tip of 25%, but you didn't expect that to be included in the bill. You can say that's daylight robbery, as if you weren't expecting it and you're surprised by the high price. But again, they're not hiding anything. They're just openly showing you what they have. That's a daylight robbery. Okay, next one is dead weight. This is great. I mean, all these are great. In business English, and I mean, in English, we have thousands of idioms. I dare to say 10,000 or more idioms. We have so many idioms. But we have thousands that we use often, maybe 2, 3, 4,000. And when I wrote this book, I had to bring it down to 300 that are the most common in business English. And it was really hard. I really went through business conversations and my experience in business and went through and found the ones that are the most common, but it was really hard to bring it down to 300. But I included this one here, dead weight, because it's so useful for business English. So I'll read you the meaning and the example here. Okay. So a dead weight meaning something or someone that is a burden and does not contribute effectively. So example, Nick is loyal but dead weight and should be replaced. So a product or person who's not contributing. This means if you have a member of staff who's very loyal, they've been there for many years, but they just don't work as hard as everyone else, you can call them dead weight. If you have a range of products, maybe your company sells microphones. Your company sells microphones, and there's one line of microphones that is just does not sell anymore. Why are you making it? No one's buying it. This product is dead weight. And imagine swimming. If you were swimming and you had something that was heavy with you, right? Something a weight is those heavy things that you put. If a diver wants to go down in the water, that's a weight, a piece of lead, I guess it's usually lead, and it brings them down. So this is what a weight is. So dead weight is something that's just kind of bringing you down. It's holding you down. Either you're paying for it or you have resources allocated towards it, and it's not helping you swim. It's not helping you progress. It's not helping you move forward. That is dead weight. So when you talk about a project, if it's not producing income, if it's not producing any advancement, it's not growing your business, that product is or project or product is dead weight. If you have a member of staff, sorry, I'm finding my page. I lost my page. If you have a member of staff that's just not productive, they're not effective. I mean, no matter how loyal they are, maybe they're the cousin of the CEO. Well, it's hard, but they're dead weight. They're just not contributing to something. That's what dead weight is. I hope you don't have dead weight people working in your company. It does happen. It does happen. And they're tricky to manage. Okay, next one is deal breaker. And this is a deal breaker. And a deal breaker, I'm going to read. If I'm looking down, you notice that I'm reading my book. Okay, so a deal breaker, a factor or condition that, if not met, will cause a deal or agreement to fail. So the lack of flexibility in the contract was a deal breaker for us. So a deal breaker doesn't have to be like an actual deal. It doesn't have to be like a business deal at all. It could be you have, Mary, she's working in your finance team, and she's a great performer. She's a great member of staff, but she's constantly sick. And her illnesses seem to be a little suspicious because she comes back with a nice tan and she looks really relaxed. So her lack of transparency, or probably actually going on holiday or vacation when she says she's sick, is a deal breaker. I mean, you want honest staff who are being honest with you. So that just means you no longer want to work with her. So you no longer trust her. And a deal breaker, when it comes to a deal, means whatever, let's shake on it. I will provide this service. You will provide this amount of money. Well, if I don't provide the service you want, or if you don't provide the money I'm expecting, a deal is broken. Sorry, that's a deal breaker. You've paid 3 months late for this last invoice. If this happens again, that's a deal breaker. We're going to rip up our contract. We're no longer working together. But a deal breaker, again, could be like Marie, who's working in finance, who's going on holiday saying she's sick. That's a deal breaker. Doesn't mean it's breaking up her contract. I mean, that's technically there, but it could be in a different circumstances as well. So it could be you're hiring someone and you're in the interview process with them, and everything looks really, really great. Their CV is fantastic. Their experience is fantastic. They're great in the interview. They've been interviewed through 3 stages of your company. Everyone likes them. Now you check their references, and the reference says, well, we had some issues with them. No, they had some conflicts on the team. Well, that's a deal breaker. Okay, so even though you were very happy with them to that one point, that one thing, hearing from a reference from that prospective employee that they're kind of toxic or they cause a lot of drama on their team, that was a deal breaker for you. So you decide not to proceed. That's a deal breaker. It's a great one. Very, very useful. Okay. Next one is deliver the goods. Oh, I love this. Deliver the goods. Now, in the literal meaning of deliver the goods is I order 25 boxes of bananas. I'm a grocery store. And then Julio comes the next day with his truck and he delivers 25 boxes of bananas. He delivered the goods. So that's what it means literally. But of course, idioms are not literal. So deliver the goods. I'm going to read the meaning example for you here. Meaning, deliver the goods, meaning to fulfill expectations or meet the required standards. Example, we promised to deliver the goods and we did just that with our latest release. So, deliver the goods. You tell someone that if you work with our marketing team, you will make more money next year. Okay, so you've sold that promise to that company. Now, if in the next year they made more money, you delivered the goods. You delivered on what you promised you deliver. That's it. Again, HR is interviewing someone, and this new VP of sales is interviewing, saying, listen, I will completely turn around this department. I will completely make this department profitable, and I will completely restructure the sales team, save you money, and make more money for your company. Well, if he doesn't do that, he didn't deliver the goods. He didn't deliver on the promise that he made. So this is deliver the goods. It's fantastic. And again, you can tell someone, listen, we're expecting you to deliver the goods. If you're sold, I mean, so many times big companies, service providers come in and they pitch, they pitch the moon and the stars to you. We're going to change your business. We're going to change everything. Well, if they didn't change that, they didn't deliver the goods. But you can say in the meeting, listen, we want to work with you. We feel you can deliver the goods. I hope you can deliver the goods. We're counting on you. Counting on means depend on, to deliver the goods. So there you go, deliver the goods. So this just means you're going to fulfill someone's expectations or meet their requirements. Deliver the goods. It's a beautiful one. Okay, next one is devil's advocate. Devil's advocate. And listen how I'm pronouncing advocate. Advocate. It's not advocate, advocate. A big part of what makes podcasts so great in learning a second language is you're listening. You're not looking. So someone who's actually looking at the video and reading the words along with it, they're going to see devil's advocate. But it's written advocate. So sometimes your eyes can trump. Trump means to get the better of. I know that's funny. That's a verb, though. It's an old word in English. Sometimes your eyes can trump your ear. So you can read devil's advocate and hear me say devil's advocate 15 times, but your eyes are still going to lock on what you read as advocate. So this is actually where podcasts really do work in a fantastic way for learning English or learning other languages, because you're tuning in your ear. Who cares? Who cares if you know how to spell it? I mean, really, in this day and age, it's more important to know how to pronounce a word correctly than to know how to spell it. I mean, within reason. But we do have spell checkers, right? And to know how to pronounce a word, pronunciation and spelling in English. I mean, you've been learning English. If you're listening to my podcasts, watching my videos, you're going to be upper intermediate to advanced level English. You know that spelling rarely matches the pronunciations. And this is an example of that. So if you're actually listening to a word, devil's advocate, 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 you're not going to say advocate anymore because you're not associating it with its spelling. So that's a little tip there for you. Anyways, back to devil's advocate. Devil's advocate, I'm going to read the meaning and give you an example. Devil's advocate is someone who argues against a point of view to test the strength of an argument. Okay, this is in business planning sessions, brainstorming sessions, having one person as a devil's advocate. It doesn't mean they don't agree with what you're saying. They're going to argue with your point to find any holes, to find any weaknesses in your idea. And this helps develop a strong idea. So, example, I'll play devil's advocate and point out the potential risks of this plan. So, devil's advocate, I'm sure if you're working in management or you're working with teams, you always have one person who says, what about this? I'm not so sure about this. This person could be very annoying if they constantly do it. But by asking these questions, trying to find problems within your plan or idea, they're helping you develop a better problem or a better problem. Oh boy, helping you develop a better plan or better idea. This is the point of a devil's advocate. So this is actually very useful in business. I have an idea. I want to launch a new brand of, I don't know, Post-it notes. And they're going to be see-through, transparent, and they're going to be extra sticky. Okay, this is my idea. It's fantastic. This is my idea. I'm going to make millions of dollars from this. Someone goes, well, don't we already have those on the market? I've seen transparent Post-it notes. Next person, and that person's being a devil's advocate. Next person says, well, if they're extra sticky, they may actually ruin the document you're putting them on, or they could ruin the equipment you're putting them on. Maybe it's not the best. So I don't want to hear from them, but I need to hear from them in order to develop a better product idea or plan. So devil's advocate, they're great. And these are people who they throw out their argument on, or their view on, someone else's idea or plan in order to help them develop a better plan. That's a devil's advocate. Okay, next one is dive in head first. This is so straightforward. So many idioms put the words together and they mean something totally different. This is pretty straightforward. If you're at a pool and you dive is where you put your hands above your head and you jump in the water head first. So if you dive into something head first, I'm going to read it here. You start something quickly without planning or preparation. Let me read the example. We decided to dive in head first and take on the new project. So if you have a new project, and you start working on it. It's like walking into a pool. You get your feet in there, test the temperature of the water, slowly enter the pool. Well, if you dive in head first, you're not having a lot of time. You don't know what the water is going to be like. You don't really have much time to prepare or plan. You're not putting your goggles on. Goggles are those glasses you wear when you swim and you dive. Maybe you're not putting your cap on. Cap is that little thing you put on your head when you swim. So to dive in head first means you're just jumping in. You're jumping into a project. Sometimes it's not the best thing, because a lot of projects or things you're taking on, they do need slow and careful planning. You need to have everything lined up before you start doing it. But sometimes time is of the essence. Time is of the essence means time is number one, and you just need to dive in head first and start doing something, and then you'll figure out the details later. So dive in head first. You start something quickly without too much planning or preparation. It could be a good thing. It could be a bad thing. So this is a very neutral idiom. You put this in any situation, whether it's a good thing to dive in head first, or I dove in head first and I didn't consider this, and that's a negative thing. Okay, next one is a double-edged sword. This is great. This is, again, very descriptive. A sword. Again, this is where it helps listening to a podcast as opposed to watching a video. Sword has a silent W in it. It's spelled sword, SWORD, but it's sword. The W is always silent in English. Now, a double-edged sword. If I'm fighting you with a sword, I have a handle and it's very comfortable in my hands, and then you have the pointy end that I'm hitting you with, or stabbing you with. That's a sword. But a double-edged sword means I'm also cutting my hand. There's two edges to the sword. I'm cutting my hand at the same time. So this is a situation that has both positive and negative consequences. Positive, I'm attacking my enemy. Negative, it's cutting my hand, it's hurting me. So example, outsourcing can be a double-edged sword. Cost savings, but quality issues. Okay, a double-edged sword is when any situation has positive and negative. So outsourcing, totally, you can't control the staff. They're on the other side of the world. So of course you save money, but you can't control the level of quality. That's a double-edged sword. Okay, working in a team that's outside your time zone can be a double-edged sword. I can get work done in the morning, but I can't get any work done in the evening. A positive and a negative. Double-edged sword. Working with company B can be a double-edged sword. They're notorious. Notorious means famous for something bad, by the way. This company B, they're notorious for paying their invoices late, but they never complain about payment. So good thing, they'll always pay the bills, but bad thing, they're always going to pay it late. That's a double-edged sword. Okay, let's continue. We're looking at doing the heavy lifting, or do the heavy lifting. So imagine you're moving a grand piano. A grand piano is the short pianos that are long, they're big square. Imagine moving a grand piano, and there's four people, one person on every leg of the piano. Now, if three people are lifting the piano with one hand, and you're lifting the piano with two hands, you're doing the heavy lifting. You're contributing more and doing more work and putting in more effort than everyone else on the team. That's all it means. Do the heavy lifting. So, in university, in college, in school, in teams, in senior teams, there's always one person who maybe doesn't do their fair share, doesn't work as much as they should be working in a team environment. So if you have to step in and do more work to compensate for that person not working enough, you're doing the heavy lifting. So to do the heavy lifting, I'll read the example here and the meaning. Do the heavy lifting to do the most difficult or challenging work on a project. So, example, she's the one who did the heavy lifting and got the team through the conference. So, let's say your team, a team of five, they fly to Boca Raton for a conference. They fly there. Everyone eats the chicken on the plane except for Maria. Maria doesn't have the chicken. She has the fish. Well, maybe the chicken wasn't very good. So when they arrive for the conference, everyone has food poisoning. Everyone's sick except for Maria. So she did the heavy lifting through the conference. She did the work of the entire team through the conference. She just had to. And so you're appreciating that she did the work of five people, but she's one person. And to do the heavy lifting, you could use this in a way to show respect to someone. So, for example, you close a deal with a major client, and you've been working on that for a long time. And you have a big team, a big sales team working to secure that contract with the client. But if one person, if Jack is constantly on the phone, calling that client, checking in with them, seeing if they have any questions, Jack's doing the heavy lifting there. So he's doing more than other people to secure that client. So when the client does finally sign with you can have a meeting and say, "Listen, we finally signed with the client A. Big thanks to Jack. He really did the heavy lifting on securing this contract." And then the manager there is acknowledging that, "Jack, we know how much extra work you put in than other people." So that's doing the heavy lifting. And again, you can use doing the heavy lifting to complain. If you're working with a team and you have a project and you've divided that project into 25%, a quarter for each person. Okay, you're doing this amount of work. You're doing this, I'm doing this. It's equally divided to a quarter of the work. But if that person's only doing an eighth and that person's doing a sixth, then I'm taking on more. So you can say, "Listen, guys, I can't do the heavy lifting on this project. I have other things to do. You can't leave me doing the heavy lifting." And by saying doing the heavy lifting, it's not rude. You're not already complaining. You're saying, "I'm picking up more weight than you're picking up." And people are usually really open to that. When they hear someone's doing the heavy lifting, they go, "Oh gosh, I didn't realize. I didn't realize by me not sending out those 5 emails last week. I didn't realize that put so much extra work on you." So this is a really great way to complain that you have more work on your team of when it should be teamwork, to complain that you have more work than other people. And most people are very open to say to this when you say, "Listen, I'm doing the heavy lifting here. I can't do the heavy lifting here." They're very open to it because it's such a descriptive thing, saying, "Listen, I'm doing the work. It's heavy for me," meaning it's a lot of extra work, a lot of extra effort. So this is a really great way to say, "I need help. I need you guys to do your part." It's a beautiful one. Okay, next one is down the line. I love this. I love this one. Down the line is so useful. So the line here means the line of time. And down the line means sometime in the future. Down, look like we're looking as if you're looking down a line into the future. So down the line, I'll read the meaning and an example, then I'll explain how we use this because this is incredibly useful if you need to answer a question and you don't have the answer, or if you don't even want to answer a question. This is what you say as well. So, meaning down the line, meaning at one point in the future. And example, we'll consider expanding down the line, not during this economic downturn. So, right now, the economy is not very good in our country. We're not going to expand our company. It doesn't make sense to do it, but we'll do it at some point in the future. When? I don't know. So that example there, we'll consider expanding down the line, not during this economic downturn. It means, yes, we'll totally consider expanding in the future. I don't know when the economy is going to be better. So I can't give you an exact date or year. That's what it means down the line. Now, the way I said, how I said down the line is so useful. If someone asks you a question and you don't want to answer it, not that you don't have the information, but you don't want to answer it, you can say down the line. That's all you can say. So, for example, someone comes to you and says, "Listen, you said that you're, top in sales. You've only kind of secured some smaller contracts. When are you going to secure these major contracts? Don't worry, I'll do it down the line." So you're not saying anything, you're saying at some point in the future. Or if you've trained at university, you got your master's degree, and you're talking to your friends and family, they say, when are you going to get a job? You have your master's degree. When are you going to start working? Down the line. I will down the line. You're saying at some point in the future. You're not telling them when. So this is a great way to say, I don't want to answer your question. Maybe you have an idea. Maybe you actually know when you want to do something, but you don't want to tell people the time down the line, or you don't want to kind of over promise something. You say down the line. Now, when someone hears down the line, they don't think you're being dismissive. They don't think you're being kind of secret about it. They just think you mean some point in the future, but you don't know the exact time. That's why down the line is so incredibly important. If some companies continuously pitching their service to you, and you're just, and maybe they have like there's a connection with the company. You can't just say, no, we don't want your service, go away, never contact me again. Maybe there's some like politics involved, like it's the CFO's cousin's brother's best friend's neighbor, right? So maybe you can't be so abrupt. We'll work with you sometime down the line. We'll work with you down the line. This means it could mean no one says how far that line is. Or again, it could be very genuine. Yeah, you know what? We love your product. This is not the right time. We're trying to cut back a little bit, but we will work with you guys down the line. So by saying down the line could be genuine in the future. I just don't know when. Or it just means I'm not going to answer a question because I don't want to in the future. So this is a really great way to hide if you don't want to answer someone's question, because it comes across very genuine and it can be used in very genuine ways. So of my business books, I have my Global Business English Mastery series. I've written and published two of the books. It's a 5-part book series. It takes a very long time to write a good book. So often I'll have people emailing me, Melissa, when will the third edition, which is my focus on grammar and business English, when will the third book be published? Down the line. And it's not that I don't want to tell you. Of course, I want to tell you. I'm so excited you guys are asking me about my third book of my series. I just don't know when. Maybe September, maybe November, maybe October. I don't know. So down the line is a genuine answer saying at some point in the future, I just don't know when. I can't tell you exactly when. Okay, next one is to drag one's feet. This is great. So drag. Back to a piano. So let's say you only had yourself to move a grand piano. Well, nobody can lift a grand piano. But if you had to move a piano from that side of the room to that side of the room, how would you move it? You would drag it. And to drag means to pull something. And it's kind of pulling it across the floor. And it's not easy to move. It's not sliding. You're dragging that piano. That's what it means to drag. Now, if I'm dragging my feet, think about a kid getting up early to go to school in the morning. They're dragging their feet. Oh, I don't want to go. That's what it means. They're dragging their feet on the floor. They're moving slowly towards their destination. That's what it means. So I'm going to read you the meaning and example here of drag one's feet. Meaning to be very slow in taking action. Example, if we drag our feet on this deal, we might lose this opportunity. So to be slow to take action. So for example, there's an opportunity comes up. Maybe a government puts out a great tender for service providers, and your company's not so sure if they can actually supply and provide the service they're asking for. So You dragged your feet a little bit, contemplating if it's the best way, and then it's been closed and you can no longer apply for it. So you missed that opportunity because you were too slow. It could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. Again, dragging your feet doesn't mean you missed an opportunity. It means you were slow to take action. So, for example, maybe someone is wanting to talk to a subordinate about their lack of performance and give them a warning. If their lack of performance continues, they will lose their job. But it's not comfortable firing someone or having this conversation with someone. So the manager could be dragging their feet, kind of avoiding doing this conversation and having this meeting because they just don't want to do it. So to drag your feet is to be very slow in something. So again, maybe warehouse A is going out of business and your company runs a warehouse as well. And your equipment's old and company A has brand new equipment. So company A is going out of business. They're selling all of their warehousing equipment at a huge discounted rate. And as soon as it's available for sale, multiple warehouses in your city are going to jump on it. Jump on it is the opposite of drag someone's feet. They're going to jump on it and buy it. So you can say, as soon as the equipment's for sale, we can't drag our feet. We need to jump on it. So we can't be slow. Or we dragged our feet. I had to check with finance. I had to go over our numbers. I wasn't so sure if it was the best idea. We dragged our feet. We lost the opportunity to buy this equipment. So to drag your feet is to be slow in taking action. It's a really good one. Okay, next one down below is drop the ball. Drop the ball is incredibly common in business English. Okay, in my book, I put little purple flags next to the words that are the most common. So, of the 300 idioms, I put a purple flag next to maybe 75 of them. These ones are your number ones, these ones you need, and drop the ball is there. So, a ball. A ball in business English is the most important part of your business. It's your task, it's your responsibility. That's your ball. Just like, and again, this is where it comes from the idioms that come from sports. So if you drop the ball, you've completely made a mistake or failed to do what was expected of you, failed your responsibility. Let me read you the example and I'll read you the meaning here. Drop the ball, to make a mistake or fail to do something important, usually your job or responsibility. Example, Tim really dropped the ball today. There's no way he'll get a promotion this year. Okay, so Tim, what did Tim do? Well, let's say Tim had to arrange a meeting with the client and he mixed up the dates. I don't know if you know this, but in North America, it goes month, day, year, whereas most of the world is day, month, year. So if you're arranging a global meeting and some of your clients are in Montreal or in San Francisco, and some are in London and New Delhi and Cape Town, well, it's very confusing if you have day, month, year and month, day, year. So let's say Tim sent out the meeting invite and he put it in North American month, day, year. So, for example, June June 12th, 2025 or 2026. And but people 6-12 2026. But people in Europe and most of other parts of the world and Asia and everywhere else in the world, they would read that as the 6th of December. So he sent out this invite. Well, half of the globe read it differently. He totally made a major mistake. If you're dealing with global teams, write that month. Don't put the month as a number. Write the month and there'll be no confusion. So he completely dropped the ball. He made a major mistake in global business. And that was something he made a major mistake. He dropped the ball. He made people quite upset. Or my responsibility was to book the boardroom for the meeting today. I completely forgot. I mean, it happens. Oh my gosh. I did a whole video on different ways to say I forgot and still keep credibility in business. It's a great video. Go find it on my YouTube channel if you have time. But so fine. So my one of my tasks for that day was to book the boardroom for this meeting today, and I completely forgot. And all I can say is I'm so sorry. I dropped the ball. Or they say, Melissa, you dropped the ball. Everyone arrived and there's no place to meet with our clients. So to drop the ball means you completely forgot something. You didn't do what was expected of you. You didn't do part of your responsibilities. If I'm an office manager, that's my job to do that. And that was my responsibility. I didn't do it. I dropped the ball. So that drop the ball is fantastic. So if you do make a mistake, you can say, I completely dropped the ball. I dropped the ball. And you're acknowledging you made a mistake, and you're not saying a negative word like mistake. You always want to avoid, there's a psychology to words. And you want to avoid saying negative words. You don't want to say, we have a problem. We have an issue. I made a mistake. I dropped the ball. So it's a nice way of saying I made a mistake, or yes, that was my responsibility. I didn't do it. Or again, if you want to tell someone, you made a mistake, but you want to soften it a little bit, you really dropped the ball this week, which means I'm not impressed with your performance. I'm not impressed with your lack of responsibility or the mistakes you made. So to drop the ball is fantastic, very useful. Okay, and the last one here with D, we're going to go through ducks in a row. This is an incredibly old idiom. And business English and English is it's so fun. I mean, as a teacher teaching it, because it's really organic. It's constantly changing. And over the years, it's changing faster and more and more. However, there are some idioms that have just been around forever, and they're still here and they're still very relevant. Ducks in a row. Get your ducks in a row, or have your ducks in a row, or just ducks in a row means you are organized. 1, 2, 3, 4. Everything is organized and prepared for something. I'm going to read you the meaning and example. Ducks in a row. To be well organized and prepared. That's all it is. Example, we want to submit a bid for this tender, so we'd better get all our ducks in a row. So we want to submit our bid for this, and we better get completely organized so you're ready to go ahead. So you're going on a business trip, and your boss tells you, listen, you have to fly out. It's Friday night. Sorry, I need you to fly to Berlin first thing Monday morning. Fine, no problem. I'll get my ducks in a row. So you go home, you get your passport, you get your luggage, you get everything packed up, and you're ready to go. There's not much more to do. All your ducks are in a row. Or we're not quite ready to launch this project yet. Not all of our ducks are in a row. And this would kind of be like your ducks would be your boxes on your to-do list, your checklist to make sure everything's ready to go. In my podcast from this book, we had all systems go in the A section. All systems go is the same thing, kind of like ducks in a row. Ducks in a row means prepared and organized. All systems go means prepared to do something. So they're very similar, very similar. So have your ducks in a row, or just my ducks are in a row means I am prepared, I am organized. Now, if you're interviewing and the HR manager goes, listen, this is a really busy company. You're going to be incredibly busy. We need someone who's very organized. How organized are you? And your response could be, it's important for me to have all my ducks in a row. It's important for me to have my ducks in a row. I make sure my ducks are in a row. And it sounds funny talking about ducks in a business interview, but this is an idiom and it means prepared and organized. It means that nothing is out of place. Everything is precision. Everything is put where it's supposed to be. It's very descriptive. It just means I'm completely on it when it comes to organization and preparation. It's fantastic. Okay, we did it. We got through all the D's. Now I'm going to read you a little bit of a conversation. If you're watching the video, you can see the conversation here on the screen. Now, this conversation, I've taken out the idioms and I'm going to read it with basic vocabulary. Try to think of an idiom that can replace the basic vocabulary. And then after, of course, I will tell you which idioms can go in there. Okay, let's take a look here. This is an IT project planning meeting. Okay, this is a conversation between Nick and Ryan. Nick, the new project specs are ridiculous. It's an exorbitant price, expecting us to meet those demands on such a tight deadline. So, an exorbitant price. Exorbitant means crazy big price. Nick responds, I know, Ryan, and the legacy system is useless. We need to stop avoiding the issue and tell them their expectations are unrealistic. Okay, so we had useless, something that's useless. Think of an idiom that means useless. And we need to stop avoiding the issue. Think about avoiding the issue. An idiom that's about avoiding the issue. Ryan responds, true, but the client's an underdog. They might surprise us if we explain things clearly. So an underdog, someone you're not expecting anything from them. Nick responds, maybe, but if we fail, it'll ruin our reputation. We need to perform well and keep the team from stalling. Stalling means delaying. So he responds, maybe, but if we fail, to fail, think of an idiom that means to fail, to not do a good job. We need to perform well. To perform well, think of an idiom we went through that means to perform well. And keep them from stalling. Stalling, hesitating. Think of an idiom that means stalling or hesitating. Nick responds, and those extra security requirements, for me, that's a non negotiable if they don't give us more time. So that's a non negotiable, meaning I'm not going to do it. Like this is a must. It's a non negotiable. It has to be in the contract. You know the procedure with these things. So think of an idiom we went through, meeting procedure. You know the procedure with these things. Let's bring it up at the next meeting, or we'll be at a standstill for now. Let's focus on the kickoff. A standstill. Nothing's moving. Nothing's happening. Nothing's moving forward. So now I'm going to read this conversation quickly for you with the basic words, and then I'm going to read it with the idioms. Okay, here we go. Back from the top, I'm not going to stop. I'm just going to read through the whole conversation. Ryan, Nick, the new project specs are ridiculous. It's an exorbitant price expecting us to meet those demands on such a tight deadline. Nick responds, I know, Ryan, and the legacy system is useless. We need to stop avoiding the issue and tell them their expectations are unrealistic. Ryan responds, true, but the client's an underdog. They might surprise us if we explain things clearly. Nick responds, maybe, but if we fail, it will ruin our reputation. We need to perform well and keep the team from stalling. Ryan responds, agreed. This project is a paradox. If we pull it off, it's a big win, but failure is not an option. Nick responds, and those extra security requirements? For me, that's a non negotiable. If they don't give us more time, you know the procedure with these things. Ryan responds, let's bring it up at the next meeting, or we'll be at a standstill. For now, let's focus on the kickoff. Okay, that's a regular dialogue, regular words, no idioms in there. Now let's go through. I'm going to read this for you with the idioms. Okay, here we go. Ryan says, Nick, the new project specs are ridiculous. It's daylight robbery. An exorbitant price, a price higher than it should be, daylight robbery. Nick responds, I know, Ryan, and the legacy system is dead weight. The original, it was useless. Something's useless, not producing anything. It's not productive. It's not collaborating. It's not contributing. It's dead weight. We need to stop dancing around the issue and tell them their expectations are unrealistic. So dancing around the issue in the original was avoiding the issue. We need to stop avoiding the issue. We need to stop dancing around the issue. Stop dancing around the issue. Ryan responds, true, but the client's a dark horse. They might surprise us. A dark horse, underdog, someone you don't expect anything of, a dark horse. Nick responds, maybe, but if we drop the ball, it will ruin our reputation. We need to deliver the goods and keep the team from dragging their feet. Okay, drop the ball in the original one, fail. Okay, so, but if we drop the ball, if we fail in this, it will ruin our reputation. We need to deliver the goods, perform well, do what's expected or what we promised. We need to deliver the goods and keep the team from dragging their feet, keep the team from stalling, working slowly, stopping, slowing production down. Brian responds, agreed, this project is a double-edged sword. If we pull it off, it's a big win. If it's a failure, it's not an option. So a double-edged sword, it's a paradox. It's a good and a bad all together. This project is a double-edged sword. Nick responds, and those extra security requirements, for me, that's a deal breaker, non-negotiable. So extra security requirements, if they don't give you more time, you won't do the job. It's a deal breaker. No, sorry, contract's over. Discussion's off. We need more time. So deal breaker means it's non-negotiable. You know the drill with these things. You know the procedure with these things. You know how they're done. Let's bring it up in the next meeting, or we'll be dead in the water. Dead in the water means at a standstill. Nothing's moving forward. There you go. So you had lots of extra idioms in there too. You had 2 extra idioms as well, and a review of all those D idioms. Hopefully that was useful and helpful for you guys. Again, if you're listening to this, save it, pop back into the video, and so you can look at all the language and all the examples and the meanings in the actual video.